Afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our monthly meeting of the Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals. At this time, I would like to ask everybody who is able to please stand and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now we'll call our meeting to order. Standard statement, please silence your cell phones. And so we'll start. We start with the consent agenda. For those who do not have a copy of the agenda or who are attending for the first time, we will concern ourselves with cases that are on consent. These are cases that have been reviewed by the board and by professionals from the various departments in the county, and to which there's no known opposition at this time. We have discussed these in our work session. Certain staff comments and stipulations have been made, and we do not anticipate any further discussion is needed for this decision. So as we go forward, the County Zoning Division Manager, Mr. Peterson, will read each case into the record. He will ask that you raise your hand as your case is called to signify that you are present. If you are here in opposition to a case that is currently on consent, Mr. Peterson will ask you to identify yourself as that case is read into the record. We will then pull the case off of consent and put it on our regular case agenda. We will then vote on all of the cases still on consent at one time. Once we have approved the cases on consent, we will move to our regular case agenda. With that, you ready, Mr. Peterson?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals Variance Hearing Consent Agenda for July 10th, 2024. First case on consent is variance case V83, 209 Dorsey Road, LLC. Request a variance to, number one, reduce the side setback from required 20 feet to 10 feet, adjacent to the west property line, which is existing, in land lot 733 of the 16th District. The property is located on the north side of Dorsey Road, east of Kent Road. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicants are present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V83? No. Okay, let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V84, Barbara Diaz requests a variance to increase the maximum sign area allowed on a lot between 1 and 5 acres to 120 square feet from 49 square feet in land lot 408 of the 19th District. The property is located on the southeast side of Powder Springs Road, north of Windy Hill Road. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Yes. Let the record show the applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V84? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V86, Peter J. O'Hanlon and Therese R. O'Hanlon request a variance to, number one, reduce the rear setback from required 35 feet to 29 feet, and number two, increase the maximum allowable impervious coverage from 35% to 50% in land lot 1043 of the 17th District. The property is located on the west side of Langley Oaks Drive, north of Paper Mill Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to, number one, stormwater management comments, and number two, applicant to mitigate to current impervious coverage. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V86? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V87, Mohammed Arfil Karim requests a variance to reduce the front setback from required 45 feet to 35 feet in land lot 338 of the 20th District. The property is located on the west side of Pindos Place and on the east side of Mars Hill Road, north of Pindos Pass. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. No further encroachments farther than the 35 feet. Is the applicant present? Yes. Let the record show the applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V87? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V89, Sauer Christner requests a variance to, number one, allow an accessory structure, which is an approximately 1,032 square foot barn, to be located to the side of the principal building. And number two, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 1,000 square feet for an existing approximately 1,032 square foot barn, required 100 feet to 36 feet adjacent to the east property line in land lot 685 of the 19th district. The property is located on the west side of Hopkins Road, north of Macedonia Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to no residential dwelling or commercial use of the accessory structures. Is the applicant present? Yes. Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V89? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V90, Brett Robick and Amanda Robick request a variance to, number one, allow an accessory use, which is a proposed pool, spa, and associated decking to be located to the side of the principal building. And number two, reduce the side setback for the pool, spa, and associated decking from required 5 feet to 2 feet adjacent to the east property line in land lot 49 of the first district. The property is located at the northern terminus of Rock Ivy Trail, north of Childers Road. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Yes. Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V90? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V91, Jelani Campbell requests a variance to reduce the front setback from required 35 feet to 31 feet in land lots 673 and 696 of the 17th district. The property is located on the north side of West Lee Road, west of Pine Ridge Road. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Yes. Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V91? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case of V92, Sean Vaughn and Hazel Jeanette Vaughn request a variance to reduce the rear setback from required 40 feet to 25 feet in land lot 454 of the 19th district. The property is located on the south side of Mackin Road, east of Bullard Road. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Is the applicant here for V92, Sean Vaughn and Hazel Jeanette Vaughn? Is there anyone here opposed? No. Madam Chair and Board, the applicant is not present. Would it be the board's desire just to leave this on the consent agenda? Okay, so we'll leave 92 on consent. Variance case V93, Christopher Gushy requests a variance to increase the maximum allowable impervious coverage from 35% to 36.6% in land lot 753 of the 16th district. The property is located at the northeast terminus of Hadfield Court, north of Hadfield Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Yes, sir. Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V93? No. Okay, let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V94, Matthew J. Howard requests a variance to amend the stipulations of past cases V145 of 2013 and BZA other business number 3 of 2015 to include elevations in land lot 889 of the 17th district. The property is located on the south side of Orchard Lake Court, north of Brookview Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number one, stormwater management comments. Number two, applicant's exhibit B. Number three, the zoning division manager can approve minor modifications to the proposed elevations. And number four, all previous stipulations not in conflict with V94 of 2024 to remain in effect. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V94? Yes, we have one. Okay, we have one opposed. We'll pull that one off and hear it in its regular order. Next case is variance case V96. Harold Holbrook requests a variance to allow an accessory use, which is an existing pool and associated decking and equipment to be located to the side of the principal building in land lot 147 of the 20th district. The property is located on the south side of Thornhill Drive, west of Giles Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following condition. Number one, variance is approved for the existing pool, decking, and equipment only. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V96? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. And that completes the printed consent agenda, Madam Chair and Board.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. So we're back to the board. Do we have any questions or comments? Of course you do, Fred.
I'd like to amend it to add one more case to the consent agenda, if I could.
What's the case number?
Let's
Is it
see,
88?
Yes.
Okay, let me go ahead and call it, and then we can add it to the consent agenda.
Before you call it, Mr. Peterson, if you will also add V95 to the consent agenda with no opposition?
Okay. Variance case V88, Daniel Schmally requests a variance to number one, reduce the side setback from required 12 feet to 10 feet adjacent to the north property line, and it is for the existing house. Number two, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 650 square feet for a proposed approximately 1,085 square foot barn, required 100 feet to 8 feet adjacent to the rear property line, and to 10 feet adjacent to the south property line. It's been my understanding that 10 feet has now been adjusted to 12 feet. Number three, allow parking and/or maneuvering of vehicles on a gravel drive surface for the barn access in land lot 81 of the 20th District. The property is located at the northwest terminus of Summit Drive, north of Ivy Lane. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V88? No? Okay, none opposed. And V95, variance case V95, Ashanakan Perry, Ashakan. I was gonna be afraid I was gonna mess it up. Ashakan Perry requests a variance to number one, increase the height of a fence that is in front of or to the side of a house in a residential district from maximum 6 feet to 8 feet. And number two, reduce the side setback for an accessory structure, which is an approximately 80 square foot shed from required 5 feet to 4 feet, which is existing, in land lot 54, the 17th district. The property is located on the west side of Favor Pines Court, south of Smyrna Powder Springs Road. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V95? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed, and it's back to the board.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read with one more addition to it. As to V88, one more condition that the gravel driveway go into the barn, tie into an existing paved driveway, or otherwise have at least a 25-foot paved apron before it ties in any way to the public roads.
Kim, did you? Anybody else?
I have the case B94 that was on consent and has had somebody in opposition. The applicant and the person in opposition are in discussion. Do we go forward with still putting it onto regular cases, or?
What, yeah.
Well, and they're outside talking about it
They're
right now?
outside talking about it
Well,
now.
let's let them talk about it, because there's one case we get to before them,
And then we'll go in
and then we'll
order
just
of
hear it
them.
or put it back on consent.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All in favor? Consent agenda has passed, 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, all those folks that are on consent, you're free to go. Thank you.
So we're really down to just one, possible two.
Mine is ridiculous. Mine is ridiculous. We don't do this. So hopefully Mr. Nest will go away. We don't do this. We don't at what it looks like.
I know. Why didn't I?
And he doesn't either.
All right, Mr. Peterson.
Okay, thank you. Okay, first case on regular business today is variance case V85, Masao Mondragon, request a variance to, number one, reduce the rear setback for an accessory structure over 144 square feet for an existing 384 square foot shed. Number two, required 35 feet to 24 feet, and that is existing. Number two, reduce the setback for an accessory structure over 650 square feet for a 1,500 square foot steel garage, required 100 feet to 15 feet from the south property line and the 20 feet adjacent to the east property line. And number three, allow parking and or maneuvering of vehicles on a non-hardened treated surface, which is the garage access, in land lot 708 of the 16th district. The property is located on the southeast side of Allen Circle, south of Powell Wright Road. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V85? Yes, one. Okay. Let the record show there's one opposed. All those who wish to address the board, please come forward to be sworn in.
Good afternoon. You will have 10 minutes to present your information, after which the opposition can speak, and then we'll close the public hearing, and then after that, if we have questions, we'll bring you back up.
Okay, my name is Louise Aldridge. I'm the authorized agent for the homeowner. So we're requesting a variance approval for a steel garage that was built on the back of the property, and two sheds that were built on the side of the property. And also there's a gravel road leading to the steel garage, and that's why we're asking for approval as well.
Any other points?
The homeowner was issued a citation because he built the shed without a permit. When he received the citation, I'm sorry, not the shed, the garage was already built. So he's trying to get everything straightened out now.
Okay,
That's all.
thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon. For the record, I'm Carol Brown with Canton Road Neighbors. This was actually brought to my attention by a couple of residents who had concerns about the large steel structure that was being put up, all the clear cutting of trees and the gravel driveway. And I think that, it was a result of a code enforcement complaint. And the complainant said that there were at least 6 or 7 cars parked in the driveway every night, and they complained about the large structure, and they felt that it might well have been a business getting ready to start. And code enforcement went out to that and subsequently issued them a notice of violation for customary home occupation. They recalibrated the square footage of the house and came out with 444. But they still, 1,500 square foot steel structure, which was built without a permit, is still, it was supposed to be a 100-foot setback, and it's very close to the property line on 2 sides. So this site has an interesting history. Back in 2006 was the very infamous V77 sawmill variance, in which an investor had also purchased this property and decided he wanted to do some woodworking. And he actually brought in huge pine logs and had a saw, and the noise was horrendous. And fortunately, that variance request was denied, and that was resolved. And then again, and actually more pertinent to this case, just up the road on Powell Wright in 2018, V8 came in because a gentleman had lived there. He was a homeowner and lived there and collected classic cars and used them for business purposes. and he came in because he had them parked behind his house, although he had quite a large house. He came in, he did the right thing, and got his variance approved, and then he went through plan review, and he built a 1,024 square foot structure that looked like the house, and nobody thinks anything about it. This is a different story. Well, as you know, the two existing sheds have been built, they've been on the property since 1990, so we're not concerned with those. We're concerned with reducing the setback for an accessory structure. It's 1,500 square foot, steel garage, from the required 100 feet to 15 foot and 20 foot, and to allow parking and maneuvering of vehicles on a non-hardened and treated surface. And the stated hardship is that it would be costly to move the shed. Well, let's see, do you have my photos? The footprint of the house is like 1,300 square feet. So the footprint of the new garage is larger than the house. It's got 3 large doors on it. Do you, no, okay. Next slide. You can see it there through the trees. It's very large. And thank you. We have heard that the purpose of the garage would be for the property owner, for the landowner, not the tenants, to store their classic car collection. Now, some stats on the size of that garage. It would be a 30 foot by 50 foot structure, is 1,500 square feet. So a 4-car garage would be typically 40 to 44 foot wide and 20 to 24 foot long. So they could easily get 4 vehicles in this garage. Are they going to do classic car restoration? Is this for a separate business use for the owner? We don't know. And since they are limited to 444 because of the square footage of the house, which is just under 2,000 square feet, if they're going to put 3 or 4 extra cars in the garage, if I'm not mistaken, they would need to come in for a temporary land use permit. The box van is allowed. It would be considered one of the 4 vehicles, and they don't have a boat or an RV. But if they're going to store 3 or 4 extra cars in the steel structure, I believe I read that they would need a temporary land use permit. The other concern is that by granting both variances 2 and 3, you would potentially open this property up to a business use, whether it be car repair, auto repair, or whether the steel structure would be large enough to store contractor-type equipment. And we've been overrun with these kind of instances in the Canton Road area. I know Mr. Boulogne has heard some horror stories lately. But the neighbors are concerned. We have a petition, a small handwritten petition with 12 signers, and we also have a letter from the people, one of the people that back up to this property in opposition. So he did not sign the consent form. He actually looks down, his property looks down on this, and they're concerned because they've been there long enough to recall the sawmill variance, and they just don't know what might come in here if this is approved. So these are really the reasons. I know that there's a Cobb County ordinance requiring that vehicles be parked on a hardened surface. I know that is Section 132-172. The parking of any vehicle on any lot in any district other than a surface treated and hardened with concrete, asphalt, tar, and gravel mix or the like to accommodate such vehicle is prohibited except as provided in this section. And all tires of the vehicle must be on hardened surface. And then, of course, the steel structure it's just not appropriate in a residential neighborhood. The hardship stated is that it would be costly to move it. This is an investment rental property, and as was stated, the owner decided to construct, without benefit of a permit, this huge garage on his property, I guess, to maximize his return on investment. He was able to afford to build this. He's able to afford a classic car collection, and they are expensive. And I don't believe that relocating this or even removing it would be an undue hardship on the applicant. And with that, we would respectfully ask that you deny variance 2 and 3. And I'm going to turn my letter in along with the petition. And I'll go ahead and submit these 2 photographs that I took on Olin Circle, so, for the record. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. We will now close the public hearing, and now we will take questions as needed.
Ms. Aldridge, will you come back up to the podium? Let's talk about who lives there. Is it a family?
Yeah, it's a family, husband and wife and 2 grown children. So 4 adults, all related.
Okay, so there are 4 adults and how many cars?
4 cars.
Okay, I believe, well, if you add the 3 or 4 cars in the storage building, you would need to come in for a land use permit because now you've got 7 vehicles. Have you done that?
No,
Are you
no,
aware of that?
no.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, let me just clarify. So the garage is used for the landowner classic car collection. The cars will be stored there. They won't work on the vehicles there. They're not going to be doing any repairs there, but the classic cars are stored in the garage for the land owner, not the tenant.
I don't believe that makes any difference, right, Mr. Peterson?
No, that does not make a difference. It's the total number of cars.
Right. Ownership doesn't make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And you were going to send me some information regarding the box truck?
So the box truck is, the father works for a company during the day, and he just he uses the box truck, and he lives there. I have the business license for the business that owns the truck and the insurance information. Should I send that to you?
You can give it to the clerk.
Okay.
Are you aware that there are updated DOT comments regarding this case?
No.
Okay. Should I just read them? All right. Let me pull those up. All right. Okay. The comments are from staff. Recommend all access to Olin Circle be on a treated, hardened surface for a minimum of 25 feet from the edge of pavement or to the right-of-way, whichever is greater in length, and to remain a maximum width of 20 feet within the right-of-way. This recommendation is pursuant to Cobb County Development Standard 402.7.1, residential driveways. So that is something that you need to make the owner aware of as well. So there is no business use that will be going on at this property, correct?
No business use, no.
Okay. And wouldn't they also need a temporary land use permit for 7 cars?
Yes.
Okay. Hope you're taking notes, because there's a lot of things you have to do. A lot of people in opposition because the owner went around the county, did not get it permitted, did not get it inspected, did not go through plan review. Do you understand that?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Do you know why he picked that location?
The lot is half an acre, so he,
No, the lot is 4.75 acres.
oh, yes, excuse me, yes,
Yes.
because the lot is, there's enough land, he just chose that location, but he's aware now that he shouldn't have done it, and he's trying to correct it, but the reason he picked that location is because of the size of the lot.
The lot is almost 5 acres. He could have put it anywhere. He's now run afoul of an 80-foot line problem with a setback.
Yeah, that was just, he wasn't informed on the setback, he just didn't have enough. He didn't go through the correct channels to get the information and do the right thing. That's what happened.
Definitely. Does anyone else have any questions or concerns while I go over my notes?
For Kent Road neighbors, if I could.
You don't have any questions for her?
No.
Okay, you can take a seat, but if we need you, we'll bring you right back up, okay?
Okay.
Can you come back up?
Well, she
Yeah.
sits down.
I'm wondering.
Wow.
I know. They're all there in the neighborhood. They're in the neighborhood, so they're not.
Yes, sir.
So my notes show that you said you were fine with the 2 existing sheds that are there?
They've been there since 1990, and actually, I think in 2006, in V77, I think one of them was supposed to have been relocated to the right position. It never was. I think we were all after getting rid of that big 900-square-foot garage and sawmill, so we didn't. And I think the focus would be the same this time. We're just concerned with the 1,500-square-foot structure. We don't care about variance 1 particularly.
Okay. Regarding those concerns, are they noise? Are they business use? What are they exactly?
We don't know. Certainly, what they've done lends itself to that potential. The original complainant lived on that street and saw 6 or 7 cars there at night until the morning. And now there don't appear to be that many cars, so we don't know. But it's just an unknown. It certainly offers the possibility of some sort of improper commercial use when you have something like that in place. And that is not appropriate, sandwiched in between, several residential properties and with one behind.
So in the past, we've approved certain things with a stipulation of no commercial use. Do you have any opinion on whether that's been effective?
As long as you have that in place, and it's in the R20 code, it's very clear. And not only can you not have anything other than a customary home occupation, but you can't store materials or equipment, like they could not bring in bags of gravel and store them. They couldn't store a Bobcat, I don't think, in that big garage. So if you're very explicit with the stipulations, they have hidden everything behind a very high privacy fence. I don't know if it's 6 feet or 8 feet, but the only reason I was able to get the photographs is because the gate was open and I was just walking around the block.
So if we consider the approving the garage, you would want stipulations additionally regarding no storage of automobile materials or of repair equipment? Would those
No,
be-
yeah, if that's actually the stated use, and And we don't know whether the owner is in the business of selling, you know, classic cars or using them, say, for films that are being made, or other type uses. And if that's a possibility, then it's a business.
But if there's just the storage,
If there is just a storage.
You're
and
okay.
There's no restoration going on, because the people that live near it would be the first to know, because you would hear it if there was any grinding or air
Sure.
compressors or anything like that.
sure.
They'd be the first to know.
Understood. What about the aesthetics of this garage? You said it's kind of behind the fence,
It's,
but yet,
it's pretty well hidden. I think it's just aggravating that somebody would do something on this scale, and then ask for forgiveness because they were caught and state, well, we couldn't afford to remedy it, when, I mean, the cost of the classic cars, some of them is probably almost as much as he paid for the house.
well, a barn, you know, if it's not, you know, not got plumbing in it and such, it's,
Right.
could be, cars could be more. But
Right.
the siding on the barn is acceptable, that there's not a aesthetic repulsion or,
Well, you can't really see the steel structure from the
Okay,
street. And the
okay.
other two just look like anybody's backyard.
okay. So
Tool
there's
shed.
not an aesthetics problem. The concern is running a business, the concern is noise, the concern is dust and things of that nature if somebody
And
was
things that are
grinding away.
basically not allowed other than customary home occupation
Okay,
of someone being, you know, an accountant or whatever.
thank you. Those were all my questions.
I have one question. In this area where this shed is, if the applicant was required to move it within the correct setbacks, are we then, because I haven't been to the property to see about the tree coverage. So if it was to be moved within the setbacks for a structure this tall, would it require then taking out a number of trees?
They already took down quite a few trees to
Quite a
build
few.
it. And I
So
don't
that
know,
would be a
frankly,
potential
I don't
more
know
of a
if there's
nice-
enough. I think that the lot is like 1 point something, maybe it's 1.4 acre. I don't believe it's 5 acres. I believe it's just 1.4.
The size of the tract is 4.74.
The tract is 4.74?
Yeah, 4.74 is what we have on the,
I saw that on the
Slide.
application, but I also looked on Cobb Assessor, so I'm not sure. But in any case, I don't know if there's enough room between the back of the house and the deck or whatever they have to relocate the thing, you know, 100 feet. That's an unknown. Certainly, they'd have to cut down more trees.
okay. But they did take a substantial number of trees down in placing
Yes, they
placing
did.
this in? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay. I'm actually looking on the county's website, and the acres, it does not list the acres. So is there any other place somebody can go to give me the acreage that's in question of this lot?
And I'm looking at it, the 4.74 comes from the survey that they submitted. It says it on the survey. On our application, it says 1.2 acres. You know, seeing how these are all half-acre lots around this property, I just don't see any way how this could be a 4 or 5 acre tract. You know, it probably is 1.2 to 1.4 acres in size.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Aldridge, could you come back up? I'm curious why the owner didn't come today.
It was probably my fault that I thought it could be, I'll be able to answer all the questions. You know, I'm helping him with this process. He's more with translating and things like that. So we thought I'd be able to answer all the questions, but definitely if we have another hearing or something like that, he will definitely attend to make sure all the questions are answered.
Okay, where do all the cars park when everybody's home and
On the driveway?
they're always on the driveway?
Yes.
There's nobody on the grass or the dirt?
No, on the
Okay.
driveway.
And
There's
how-
a carport in the driveway. It fits all the 4 cars.
Okay. And the access to this new garage is going to be how?
It is through a gravel road. That's the gravel part. We have there's a regular driveway, and then on the right, there's a gravel that goes up to the garage.
Okay. Any plans to improve that to a hardened surface like concrete or something?
If necessary, if needed to, he can definitely do that.
Okay. So I think I would like to hear from Lahia now, if you'll
Okay.
take a seat,
Let me
please.
just clarify one thing. So because I have the invoice here, the cost to build the steel garage was $12,000. So that's the hardship that we're talking about. He does have, investments and everything, but obviously he's, trying to, if at all possible, and if it doesn't bring any problems to the community, obviously he would like to not have to redo and pay the amount again. Thank you.
Okay.
Ligia Floren, DOT.
Hi. Thank you for doing the updated comments.
course.
Is there anything further that you need to add regarding the access to the garage?
Well, as long as it's within the right-of-way is paved, that's what we're concerned about. And then the unimproved surface is purview of community development. So you will have to approve, that's what we're here to approve, maneuvering within the unimproved surface. But as long as at least 25 feet or to the right-of-way line is paved and remains that way, then we're okay with it.
Okay. And so this would also need to go through plan review, right?
I'm not sure if it will be plan review or a building permit that they will need to,
It'll go through plan review.
a plan review, yes.
Plan review. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anything further from my fellow board members? Okay. I believe at this time, I would like to hold the case for a month and work on getting a little more clarity on some of the issues and let the owner come to the next hearing and have a direct conversation with him. So that would be my motion, is to hold until next month.
A second.
All right, please place your votes. To hold the case till next month passes 5-0. Thank you. Do we have clarification on the other case that was possibly in opposition?
B94.
B94?
For V94, Kevin, do we need to hear it? Okay. So I'll call the next case.
Okay.
Variance case V94, Matthew J. Howard requests a variance to amend the stipulations of past cases V45 of 2013 and BZA, or the business number 3 of 2015, including elevations in land lot 889 of the 17th district. The property is located on the south side of Orchard Lake Court, north of Brookview Drive. The applicant is present, and earlier there's one person here opposed. All those who wish to address the board, please come forward to be sworn in.
For most of the time.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
State your name and let's hear your points.
Thank you. I'm Kevin Moore here and on behalf of the applicant owner, Mr. Howard, in this variance request. This comes to you as kind of probably pretty strange to what you typically have as a request before you, in that typically you're not reviewing or considering a change in a condition that was approved as part of a prior variance. And so that's what we're asking for today. We're not asking for, on behalf of Mr. Howard, an additional variance to build on this lot. We're not asking for additional relief, and I'll explain all of that, but we're simply asking you to approve as the board a different elevation for a home than was approved as part of a variance approval that occurred in 2013 and subsequently in another business item that this board approved in 2015. So what we're only asking for is approval of a new elevation for a home, how the home will look, as opposed to the elevation that was proposed in 2015. And that's our request in front of you. But I want to go through the history briefly. I won't spend all day on that, but I want to go through that briefly with you so that you can understand the context. And I'll hit on a couple of items as well. I spoke to Mr. Lacey, who is an area owner here across the street. And hopefully I answered most of his questions, and I'll also add a little bit to that so that we can all be on the same page with this. All right, turning to this particular site plan. This plan is from the variances that were approved in 2013 and subsequently in 2015 for the other business. But this is the road here is called Orchard Lake Court. It's a private road. It's in an area in Vinings that surrounds a lake. This is that lake, a portion of that lake here. This is a road, Orchard Lake Court, that comes around. Here is the lot here. This is the outline of the home for Orchard Lake Court. There used to be a home here. It's now been removed. But this just gives you the footprint of where that home would be as proposed in 2013 and 15. Driveway here. This is the footprint there of the home. The variance in general that was approved in 2013, there were other couple of things, was to allow for a reduction of the front setback to 13 feet, which is right here in this location is where that 13 feet for the additional ability to build onto the house there. That was approved in 2013, and there was a list of conditions. One of those conditions was specific to a house elevation for this home on this lot. In 2015, that house elevation was updated to a different one. But now let me just kind of show you where we are today. It's a little bit different scale, so let's see if we can kind of get in on it. There we go. A new owner, Mr. Howard, proposing to build the house here, generally the same location as before, driveways in the same location. It doesn't quite have as big a footprint as a home. There is a small pool and pool house here, but this is the footprint of the home shown in here, just so you can see the orientation of how that will work in generally the same location as it was previously, because this lot is constrained due to the lake buffers. It's also constrained due to where the sewer is located. But this is generally the area in which you can even build a house is that small area. The proposal we're having for you today is not to request additional relief on the front setback. So we're maintaining the same setback that was established by the 2013 variance, which is that same 13 feet here. To give you a little bit more explanation, this is from, oh yeah, let him help me. This is from 2015. This was the elevation that was made a condition of the variance, that this was the elevation, the home to be built to this elevation. That was in 2015. The new owner, however, simply wants to build this house instead. This house actually has overall a little bit smaller of a footprint, as you saw from the comparison of the two. And it actually I know beauty's in the eye of the beholder, somewhat subjective, but certainly from my standpoint, it appears to me to be a more attractive home and also more in keeping with homes and the architecture in and along Orchard Lake Court. So the request before you today is simply to approve this home elevation in place of the one that was improved in 2015. because in 2013, when the original variance was approved, this board had a list of conditions that went along with that variance approval, which y'all do often, and one of which tied it to a specific home elevation. So all we're asking for today is approval of this elevation as opposed to the one from 2015. Now, additionally, as part of this, we are also reviewed the conditions that were granted in 2013 when the variances were granted. There's a list of conditions that included the elevation, but it also included conditions related to lighting and included conditions related to tree removal. One of the conditions that exists for this variance is that there would be no tree removal except what was necessary for the foundation of the home. And that was one of the stipulations, one of the conditions. And we've agreed and have always agreed as part of this request that we're going to abide by the stipulations that were granted in 2013 for the variance request that was in 2013. And I want to reiterate that, and that's part of what myself and Mr. Lacy discussed, is that we do intend and recognize and acknowledge those conditions or stipulations that were granted and approved in 2013. In addition, Mr. Lacy and I discussed that an additional condition, which we would be agreeable to, and that is that to the extent trees are removed in order to build the foundation of the house and put the house in, for any tree that's removed, we would agree to plant a tree somewhere along the frontage of the property. So kind of a one-to-one. If we have to remove a tree in compliance with the condition that trees removed within the foundation only, we would agree to plant a tree to replace that. And we would agree to that as an additional condition. But again, I want to state, because I think it's important support for Mr. Lacy, important for others, that this request is not seeking to change any of the stipulations from the prior variance approval in 2013. The only thing that's asking and requesting is to essentially swap the elevations. Instead of that elevation, we'd like the one we've presented for your consideration here today. So that's why, to follow back up with what I started with, this is a little bit different than you usually hear. We're not here to ask for relief from a county ordinance or to ask for a variance from a county code or a zoning regulation. We're simply trying to build a different house, but one we think is far more attractive than was a stipulation from before. With that, I can certainly answer any questions that you may have, and happy to do so, and certainly can answer any additional questions that Mr. Lacy may have. Thanks for your consideration here today.
If we could hear from the opposition now, please. Come up, state your name, and you have 10 minutes, and then after that, we'll close the public.
My name is Doug Lacy. I am the adjoining property owner across the street from Paces Lake Court. You can barely see my house there at the top of the page. Kim, do you by chance remember this? See how good your memory is. I know you do a lot of stuff. And the CALC Senate, we negotiated all these stipulations that ring a bell? Okay, so the reason this came about was there was an old dilapidated house there, and another couple had bought that property and proposed to build a new home, which would have encroached on my privacy and my quiet enjoy. I've been here 33 years. So we negotiated over a long period of time and came up with the stipulations to accommodate that variance, the front setback variance. I'm not trying to keep Mr. Howard from building a house. I mean, arguably the house he's proposing may be aesthetically more pleasing than the one that the CALCs were going to build. But my concerns remain, and that is lighting, windows, et cetera. I'm willing to consent to the change in elevation. My concern now is tree removal, primarily, tree removal and maintaining the privacy buffer. And I have met with Mr. Howard and his builder and asked them, just show me, where are the corners of your house? And to say that they were vague would be polite. They were beyond vague. They would not stipulate where the corners of the house were. So that caused myself, my wife, and our neighbors some real consternation. I mean, it was kind of like, why won't you show us the corners of this house so we can determine, because it does allow for tree removal within the foundation, but we don't know and nobody will show us where's the foundation. So we're kind of operating in the dark here. Kevin and I talked. you know, you can pretty well overlay it and see that the foundation is in general proximity to where the foundation of the Couch proposed house was. And again, I mean, I just don't want to find myself in a position where I say, okay, we'll trust that you know, the footprint is where the footprint is, only to find out that, well, there's 7 or 8 trees that, you know, significantly will impact my view and my privacy that are going to come down. The proposal we kind of agreed to was for every tree that we take down in the footprint, we will replace a tree up front. And I'm okay with that. I mean, I think that's probably as good as we're going to get here. I would not like to see any other trees, and I'll rely on code enforcement to ensure that no other trees are cut down. But it would be an after-the-fact matter. I mean, the trees could be removed. So I don't know what assurances I could possibly get that that won't happen. And that was part of my conversation with Kevin as well, was, you know, how do we get comfortable with what's going to ultimately be taken down? So I'm going to walk out of here today, and I'm going to be exposed or just, you know, beholding to them not cutting down a bunch of trees. But I'll withdraw my objection to the elevation, striking the elevation stipulation, provided we incorporate within the foundation of the house, if there are any trees that need to be removed, they will replace them with another tree for privacy. But all the other stipulations, my understanding, stand. Correct?
Yes,
Okay. Thank you.
thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for the applicant? Kim?
Kevin, can you come up, please? Just so we're on the same plan here. So in the, when I'm looking at all the agreed upon stipulations that we did back on V45, there were no floodlights or front or side, on the front or sides of the house. Is that the one, and then only lighting on exterior on the front to be carriage lights?
Right.
Are those the stipulations that we're going to keep with this,
Yes,
with this new home?
that's correct.
Okay. No tree removal in front of the house except in the area located within the proposed new foundation. That's still the stipulation?
Yes,
And this house will sit on the foundation that the other house would have been sitting on? Is it going to be,
it's not exact because it's a different shape, but it's
but you won't be requiring any setback?
correct.
We're not doing any variances on setbacks? You're going to remain in the setbacks that are for this lot?
That's correct.
And then the house will not exceed the height of zoning.
That's correct.
Low light landscaping on the drive, on the street side. So those are all correct.
That's correct.
So then, we could then use this one that was dated, it's in the packet, it's page 4, dated April 9, 2013, and then add that the removal of the trees for the foundation, that you agreed to plant for each removed, to plant a new one that would be then located in the front of the property.
Correct.
Okay. You can sit down.
Okay, thank you. And along with staff's comments and recommendations as well.
Correct.
Thank
Of
you.
course. And then, can you come, the gentleman, could you come up again, the person in, somebody's needed. So you're good with those stipulations that I read that we had in the last one in 2013, correct?
I am, yeah.
And then putting the trees that they are going to be removing, putting into the front of the property so that it'll block more of your view of this?
Correct. Yeah, the concern, Kim, comes, you hit the nail on the head when you said it's the new house going to be on the same foundation as the old house. And the answer to that is no, it's going to be different. Yeah, so I don't know where that new foundation is going to be. So when you're asking me not to object to the stipulations that are in place that constrict or restrict tree removal, and we were going to allow for tree removal within the new proposed foundation, but I have no idea where that foundation's going to be other than what's represented on paper. But on the ground, I don't know, so I don't know what trees are incorporated in that. That's a cause for concern.
Well, they'll have to come through. They're not going to be allowed to build they're not asking for any variances of setbacks. So they're not moving this house. They're allowed to build in this area as long as they're not building within setbacks.
Well, correct, but
So-
if you throw up the original V45 and look at that proposed house there, that was a three-car garage that they proposed to
Right.
extend out from the house face of the house set back from that, and it was a three-car garage was the only thing that was going to encroach on the normal setback. Now we've got an entire house encroaching on that setback. They're going to use that variance to accommodate moving the entire house forward, not just the three-car garage. So it's going to move forward towards my house, and I don't know how many trees that will incorporate.
And then your house again, can you point on this map where your house is
Yeah, okay,
located?
top center, just go, take your cursor up. Right, you see keep going left. That's my house.
2808, this is your house?
Beg your pardon?
2808 here,
Yeah,
this is your house that
2808
is going
Paces
around?
Lake, yeah.
And so, is this the back of your house, the side
That's
of
the
your
back,
house?
that's the back of my house,
The back of your house?
yeah,
That would be looking at the front of this proposed
correct,
house?
correct. But that's where we basically live, is the back of the house. So that's my concern. I mean, that's where we have our privacy.
Okay.
And I don't know where this plays in. You'll see that Mr. Howard consolidated these two lots.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm assuming he's going to then re-subdivide. I don't know if it's a subdivision or what it is. What is it?
He has, Mr. Peterson, can you explain to him what he's allowed to do with these two lots that are now
Yeah.
combined?
Well, this was two lots, then it was combined into one lot. Now it's putting the line back to where it was to make it two lots again.
So it will be
Going back to
considered
the original subdivision.
two separate parcels independently
Correct.
saleable.
That's right.
Okay.
So I don't have any more questions. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Does anybody else have any more questions, or are you ready to make a motion?
Just want to do this, but I make a motion that we approve V94, subject to stormwater comments, and to amend the stipulations from V45 that was on April 9th, 2013, in which it's in this packet, that the stipulations agreed upon are the 1 through 6, and to add the addition is that the removal of any trees for foundation will be replaced by a new tree located in the front of the property.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Excuse me.
Can I add two more things to that? Commissioner Swanson, I just want to make sure that we include all previous stipulations not in conflict from variance case V45 of 2013 to remain in effect. And also, let's reference the site plan dated May 9th, 2024.
Okay. So that would add what we did previously back then?
Yep.
Okay.
Got it.
You got that? I don't have to say anything more?
Do we have do you second it? Do you need a second? Okay. Please place your votes. Approved, 5-0. Thank you. Now we have a little housekeeping. Has everyone had time to look at their minutes? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve both minutes.
Second.
For us.
From You can clarify the dates.
Yes, I can. The date is June 12th, 2024, and July 8th, 2024.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Made and seconded. Please place your votes. Minutes are approved, 5-0. And do I have a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
I
please.
second.
All in favor, please vote. And we are adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.